All right, we are live with another live trading session and market review with Bits of Wealth. Really excited to dive into the markets today. Bitcoin is still in the same range that we identified first week of February, but exciting times, lots of stuff that's happening in the markets. We'll dive into all of that. Want to just throw it out there, just like I always do with every stream. Anything that we do discuss here today is not financial advice. It's just purely for educational purposes. We are just going to have some fun with all the lines that we draw and look at all the charts and everything. So we'll go ahead and get started. Bits, how are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm doing well. Getting ready to hopefully see something with BTC happen. I mean, at this point, I don't care if it's I guess I don't care if it's a big move to the upside or a big move to the downside. It's like just give us something, Bitcoin. Just give us something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get that.
Yeah. So yeah, but you're right. I mean, it's just kind of sideways. So, but other than that, good. I've been watching some TradFi stuff. Been kind of trying to pay attention to what's happening with commodities and keeping up with like North Star's capital rotation thesis that he's been talking about. So yeah, it's like we'll see what ends up happening. But even BTC, I think Bitcoin's probably getting ready to give us a little bit of action.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
would be fun.
Looks like we're yeah, definitely. And some good setups too that we could see. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, we'll let you definitely dive into this. I think we are, like we said it earlier today, pretty much team daily close today. That's what we're going to be doing, looking at
Yeah.
the daily close.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's going to be super telling. Again, I mean, and more if you're looking for like a short, right? If you're looking for a short, I think that daily close is going to be what you want to see. Ideally, the closer it comes down here to the previous day, the better. But and especially if it's below previous week. But if it starts moving out, then I'm waiting. It's part of the reason why I'm also waiting for the daily close. I think if it's going to give a reversal, we'll see it on these higher time frames. Um, Currently, right now, it's kind of just pushing up against this previous year low, which is quite interesting. That's where you've had all these wicks is exactly to that previous year low, which was it was where Bitcoin touched down last April, whenever that was down here, right? So April of last year, after Bitcoin had made its move essentially out of this previous range that it was in for like 8 months, and then on election day, we saw that big move up, and then Bitcoin went up as high as almost 110, I think is what it was, 109, and then we corrected um, basically all of January, February through beginning of April, pretty much the entire beginning of the year corrected all the way through the start of April, which actually has quite a bit of similarities to like how we've started the year here off of this move to 98K, right? Like it's like we had already come down off the high significantly. We were kind of ranging here um for a little while. So most of December, part of November, but most of December and January we are kind of just chopped around in a range. And then price broke to the downside, and really for this year we've been basically just seeing this downward price action and a little bit of sideways chop down here. So kind of interesting in terms of timing, right? We're still kind of doing this like trying to find a bottom. Back here it was in early April. Is this going to maybe be the inverse now when we find some kind of local top at the beginning of April? I think that would be quite interesting, right? We kind of chop around here, and then this can go high. I mean, the previous month highs up here, even if it came all the way up here. Beginning of April, that marks a top. I think that'd be quite interesting. Where April back here was our low, and potentially it's going to be a high here for the next leg down. So, um, I'd be quite shocked to see, you know, uh, if beginning of April marks a new low. I guess it could happen. It'd have to be pretty. It'd have to be pretty quick. I mean, we're running out of time here. Got a couple weeks left in the month, and it need to be quite speedy in the way it moves to the downside. Certainly could happen, But this is mainly just wanted to highlight like why I'm watching this level here is this is a pretty key level. I mean, even going back to March of 2024, back then you basically set a high at about 73.7, which is just it's the same thing. It's exactly pretty much where we are today. So we could mark that out, right, and then just carry that over. But that this line here would have been March of 2024's high that acted as resistance until we broke out of it in November. So we basically just were unable to get above that, then flipped it to support here April of last year, and now it's the price is below that level, below the low that was set here as well, and we're just observing. We're observing to see what's going to happen here. So I'm going to actually leave this one on. I'll probably just mark it later on so I know what that level is. But yeah, pretty interesting range. I think it's a pretty important range to be watching here. Right now BTC is looking pretty resilient though. It's looking like it wants to push. We've got some decent volume that was kind of starting to build up here. It's gone kind of flat already again, but you are getting quite a bit of sells happening here. Some of these sells are larger than the buy volume that was pushing it up. Had a massive sell over here as well. This was, this sell off over here was rather large, but there's a bit of fighting happening here in BTC, roughly between 73. I mean, you could almost call it 73.5, 73.5, all the way up through about 74.5, something like that. So this will be pretty telling. I feel, based on like how I've typically seen price react to levels like this, I feel like the move out of here, whenever the dust settles and direction finally chooses a side, I feel like it could be quite quick. It could have some momentum behind it. So I'd be curious. I haven't looked at like a heat map this morning, like on Market Monkey or one of those, but I'd imagine there's a fair bit of liquidity building above and below. It'll be interesting to see how they go and get that, and to see which one has more. I would, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at it because I want to speculate that it makes more sense for it to shoot up and liquidate shorts here, like shorts that are maybe stacking here. But we shall see. So this is a big zone I'm watching for BTC. It does have room. I would not be at one bit surprised to see it head up close to 80K. I think it'd have to be quite a move here. I don't think it'd chop up there. I think if it's going to do it, it's going to have like a big pump and then maybe a little bit of a grind towards it, or it could be quite vertical. But this here to me, and then based on the way the volume profile is, I think it'd take a nice big strong candle to get it up there. But and then if you reject, same thing. There could be a nice quick rejection if we're lucky. If this pumps up and then it gets a big rejection. If we're lucky, we get kind of a retest opportunity before it starts heading down. Then I'm kind of looking down here around previous week low and the monthly open. These levels down here at about 67, maybe even 65, high 65s. But this is kind of been my, I think what I shared. I have to go back and find it, but I think I shared like I was expecting a move up, liquidate some shorts here to the upside, and then bring it down somewhere down here near the monthly open, and then make a move up towards 80K. This could still happen. This could certainly be in play. If the move ends up actually being quite a bit higher, then I think the opposite. I think if it's gonna go pretty close to 80K, then I think the next move is just coming straight down here. I don't think it's gonna make another attempt up. I think it would just liquidate and then head lower. But we'll be watching liquidity. We'll be watching some heat maps. We'll be watching price action, of course. Daily close will be pretty important. Weekly close will be pretty important here for BTC as well. If this is just a fake out, like a trap move, I would suspect, and I guess my expectation would be that this week doesn't close above these prior weeks, that it ends up just being another wick. So we would need to see this weekly close come down as well, and just leave nothing but a wick to the upside. And then the draw then becomes down towards the bottom of this range as well. And that's essentially what you would see here is, if it is just a fake out and we're going to get some kind of rejection this week, then, over the remaining 15 days or remaining 2 weeks, this should start to kind of pull back a little bit, and it should leave, right? Because right now this is starting to look like, okay, there's some strength behind it, but there's still, about half of the month left here. This could start coming down, leave a bit of a wick to the upside, and then ultimately, I do think the move, because the trend is still down, right? Because we are still heading lower overall. The draw should be to the bottom of this candle, not to the top of the candle. So if we can't get above here, then I think that this ultimately comes down, cleans up to the downside, and then if it wants to go to the top side, it would have an opportunity to. But yeah, I have a hard time thinking it's going to come straight to 80K if it doesn't do it relatively quickly. Like if it doesn't do it within this month, I don't think it's going for it. But that's yeah, that's pretty much where I stand on BTC.
Oh wow, I was talking to myself until I noticed. I was asking, this was great bits. Is anything that you want to cover on the alt side or stablecoin
I can
dominance?
Yeah, I can quickly go through it, right? Let's start with the stablecoin because we were talking about this one quite a bit, and I was watching some of the levels that you had called out last time for a potential move lower. And my base expectation has been that at most, I think we got like a sweep of this low. We are currently below that. I want to see if this accelerates. If it does accelerate, right, to some of the levels you were talking about, which are kind of down here. Um,
6.5.
Yep, exactly. So if it starts going anywhere down here, then I mean, this means that BTC likely is going to make an attempt up here towards like 78 to 80K. I think that would
Mm-hmm.
become very, very likely. So we'll see if that happens. But again, I think you and I have both done a pretty good job of just clarifying that ultimately, even a move down there doesn't really change the nature of this trend. Like this stablecoin is still trying to go higher. The only way you invalidate that really is if stablecoin comes down and takes out this low. If
Then
it were
it's
to
over,
do
yeah.
that for whatever, then something else has changed, and we need to be looking for pullback opportunities to get long exposed because something else is happening, right? Um, but as of right now, this thing could come down. It could come down to the top of this range. It could come into the middle of this range here where the volume is, and ultimately still bounce. And the trend is still going to be to the upside, and we're still expecting stablecoin to go parabolic and continue higher. So nothing's really changed there. I have been on team shallow though. You've been on team deep. I'm on team shallow pullback here. So we'll see. I mean, we're about to find out, right? Like either this thing is
Mhm.
about done or done, and then this is going to happen, or your theory, which is, and I agree with it. Structurally, it looks like that's what needs to happen. Structurally, this makes more sense than my shallow theory. But based on BTC and the fact that you've got such key levels here, it's why I'm entertaining the shallow idea, the idea that we're going to reject here with previous year low, March 2024 high, all this stuff right here. That would mean that we need to quickly we're going to need to see some kind of explosive reversal here on stablecoin dominance pretty quickly. ETH has been showing some strength. I mean, ETH is pushing. Same thing though. You got previous month high. I found this channel on Ethereum to be pretty interesting, Lady Trader. I basically just grabbed this low, pulled it back to this November low back here, anchored it off of this high at the beginning of the year. And it kind of gives confluence to, a potential move up here near previous month high for ETH, so about 2,500. So that's kind of an interesting level there to watch. I believe ETH, yeah, see, that's why I had that yellow line on there as well. That was the low of that November. Is it also the quarterly low? Let me see. Yeah, that's the quarterly low as well. So for
Oh wow.
Ethereum, I am also watching that yellow line that I have, that dotted line, because if it does go to the top of the channel, it's going to be really close to that previous quarter low for Ethereum. And so then I'm kind of paying attention. I'm like, man, if this closes the month above here, we're going to be closing the quarter inside of the previous quarter, which I'll want to be paying attention to, right? So that's this level here. So I am watching this level here. Let me go ahead and label that actually as previous quarter low. That way I know that's what that is. So it's not my primary. I don't think that that's currently the most likely thing, but I am watching it. I think currently, like Ethereum, this pump is probably going to come shy of that. Even if it goes above it, I think it just maybe wicks, and then the close ends up happening below that. And it'll just be a huge fake out where it looks like we're going to reclaim previous quarter, and then it doesn't do it. So, but if it does, again, I'm willing to let the data drive and not my emotions. So if it does do that, I'm willing to pivot and say, okay, stable coin is broken down. This is doing some other thing. Maybe the dominances are doing some other thing, and then there could be something else happening. Litecoin, I talked a lot about accumulating Litecoin down here. Man, it is getting a nice little pump this week. So Litecoin's doing pretty good. I got a little bit of a leverage position Friday or Saturday. I can't remember when it was exactly. So I do have a leverage long here, but mainly this is always like a spot play, just trying to get it up. If we get it up to like 78, I think that'd be good enough, and I'd be happy with that. Solana actually showed a little bit of strength here as well. Solana's pushing up, trying to break out of these highs as well. But Solana, same thing. It's previous year low, right? It's like right there pinned against that previous year low from April of last year. So same thing like Bitcoin. It is kind of rejecting off of that at the moment. We'll see if Solana can muster the strength to push up through that. Based on the way ETH is looking, I'd say there's a decent chance. If BTC is going to push through it, if ETH is kind of leading the way, LTC, some of these other ones are kind of showing some strength. We could be getting a little bit of a pump. Cardano was another one I was very vocal about. These Dino coins. There's quite a few of the other Dino coins where same thing. These were just quarterly plays. The reason we were paying attention to any of these was the fact that we were asking ourselves if we can get a close above previous quarter, and we've got 15 days left to do that, right? What would that look like? And to me, that would look like a move back up to at least the 50% of the previous quarter, but potentially up towards the high of the previous quarter. So I was kind of watching it even on a monthly basis and just saying, okay, we swept October lows. We're below all these levels, but we're getting closes above. We're getting closes above on monthly and weekly. We're getting all these good closes above with nothing but long tail wicks to the downside. All of this is looking favorable. And, and then essentially I was just saying, is that it right there? Yeah. Like what would it look like if we got that move there? Right. So, and I still think that this is a probable move for Cardano. Not really calling new highs, but at least coming back up here at the very least, and then leaving a runner piece to see if it goes a little bit higher. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. Some of the other ones, I shared a Uniswap play on my timeline last week. This was exact play. The entry stop, I think I had it here initially, right? I was saying just put it below the lows. These are your targets to the upside. So far, Uniswap is running. All of these that have this little green label on them were all charts that showed a similar thing, which was on a monthly chart. And this is the reason I was paying attention. They're doing that turtle soup thing, right? Where it's like previous month, and then the last month, which was February, closed inside of January, right? So it closed within January's range. So when this happens, a lot of times there's this 3 candle power of 3 is what ICT calls it. There's a bunch of different terminology for the same thing, but essentially it's high time frame reversal, and then you head back to the top of candle 1 or near candle 1. So I made a list of all of the ones that fit that criteria. They got these little green labels on them, and I'm starting to make some yellow labels, which are the quarterly, the ones that I think have quarterly moves. This would just be a monthly move, right? So this month going up to the top of January, but I'm I'm going to start making a yellow list of the ones that I think are quarterly moves that are going to go back to the top of previous quarter. Algo's one that I'm looking at the moment. I'll show you why as well. So if Algo closes within previous quarter, like then I'm looking towards the top of that previous quarter as well. So Algo's not far from that. If in the next 2 weeks it closes above here, then I think we need to start looking for scenarios where they move back up to the top of that. And again, not even a move up there doesn't change this downtrending structure. So there's nothing really long-term bullish about that. It just means that it's doing this probably before it does that, right? I mean, that could certainly still be in play, or maybe it does that and then it decides to do something like that. I don't know. That's too far in the future for me. But I do know that if we close this quarter inside of the previous quarter, there's a really good chance that it's going to come out at least up here, somewhere like the floor of this, but likely up to the wick. So yeah, I've just been going through making a list. A lot of these look pretty good. Cardano was on the list, obviously, right? You can see right away Cardano Feb closed inside of Jan. So I'm looking somewhere for a move higher, near. This was one that already hit TP1. ETH5 was another one I had shared in the DM group. Took an ETH5 position down here. It's already in profit. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Ondo was another one. It's got a ton of room to the upside. I do have an active trade on Ondo as well, off of these lows. Same thing, waited for the monthly close, looked and positioned. Tau was another one. Tau did the same thing, already almost at the target. So Tau was one of the ones that was leading in terms of doing this monthly fractal. But there's quite a few other that are on here that still have room. AVAX still has room. Cyber still has room. ZRX has a ton of room. ZRX hasn't even hit TP1 yet. But same thing. I did position in ZRX, by the way. This is another one that I shared. But yeah, same thing at this point. Like if you're not in ZRX, there's actually an opportunity right now. You're breaking this high here. As long as you get that close, your stop is below there. Your entry looks like that. If you're just going here, it's only about a 1R, so it's not amazing. But ideally, like you're shooting for this move there on ZRX. And again, this is just based off of that 3-month setup. But yeah, there's a bunch of these. Uni looks pretty good. That's Uni's going to target. Same thing. Kaido was another one. This one was another one that's already ran quite a bit. So, but yeah, look, a lot of this stuff looked and sounded crazy just a week ago, even a couple weeks ago, when I kind of started talking about these altcoin 3-month fractals. But here we are.
Love it. Thank you so much, Bits, for going over that. You know what's funny when you were talking about the stablecoin dominance? Remember when we were talking about it last time? I kept saying that it looks bearish to me, and it was funny because Bitcoin, like I'm more bearish on USDT dominance than I am bullish on BTC.
I could tell. I was like, why does she and I saw it structurally. I saw it, which was why I was willing to hold those altcoin positions, because I was like, I see it, I can see it, but it was one of those where like Bitcoin, I was like, why would Bitcoin suddenly like do this big push? And now I'm just like, okay, maybe it needs to run all that. It needs to run these levels, and then we'll see what happens, But yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it
Yeah,
was
you called it.
the,
You're spot on.
yeah, it was clarity, right? Like I was more clear on the USDT and USDC dominance than I was on Bitcoin. And
Correct.
so sometimes like that confluence matters.
Well,
just
and
like
this
how,
is well, I was going to say, this has kind of been the whole point of this chart, is it helps give us clarity, right?
yeah, exactly. That's why you want to have that. Oh, love this. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my charts. Have a couple of
take it away.
Have some theories too that I want to discuss.
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to start with Black Widow and her post, because this was something that Bits and I were talking about quite a bit. This fractal from 2022. We were looking at the weekly chart, if you guys remember, and she is basically, it's the same thing on the daily chart. And so we had a very similar thing that happened back in 2022, which was another barrier, right? And so we were seeing very similar pattern here. And, this was basically from March 13th. So this is a few days ago, right? But she was basically one thing that she did point out, which is what I was also noticing when when you start to see something like this, you could potentially say this is like a bullish pattern. Of course, being in the like if I was to remove from the picture historical data altogether, like
Yeah.
okay, I'm not going to follow historical data at all, like just throw it out of the window.
Right.
Just looking at the pattern, this would tell me this is a bullish pattern, right? um, and then also again, I'm putting myself in a retail trader's shoe right now because I'm not even taking into consideration the fact that it did not take out the liquidity, which is again, this is what retail traders do, right? They're not going to necessarily look at this. They're not going to look at the historical data. They're just looking at this pattern. So if I was throwing those two things away, then I would be super bullish here because I could see that, okay, it's going to probably push up a little bit. And so she did call out that the one thing that's different is that this one right now, it's a little bit stronger and also a week longer. And so
Mm,
those were a couple of
yep.
things that I wanted to definitely call out. And if you don't follow Black Widow, please do that. She's absolutely incredible. I'm not going to agree on everything that she posts, but man, she is absolutely incredible and a great asset, I think, to the crypto community. So make sure that you're following her and look at what she's been posting. And she was also spot on when she said, she wanted to buy at 60K and then wanted to sell at 80K. So
Right.
then she wants to buy back again in the 50s. And so I think we are going to
How
definitely see
dare
that
she?
happen.
How dare she think that she's going to be able, just because it did it in the past, that it's going to do it again, and that she's going to be able to buy Bitcoin for 30, 40, 50% discount prices. I hope she's prepared to take a big L on this one, Lady Trader, because that sounds moronic.
Oh my goodness. You sound like a very smart attorney right now. Love that. Love
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm gonna get good at doing that impression. I'm gonna nail it down.
it's incredible. Um, No, so this is
Uh,
important to understand, definitely. I mean,
yeah,
there's definitely a little bit of a momentum to the upside, but again, it's going to be
yeah,
short-lived. Remember, if we want to short the markets, you don't want to short it when you have 5 consecutive red months. You want to
right,
short it and you want to take profits very quickly. Like this is what I've been doing. I was short last week. You guys saw the live trade.
yeah.
I also mentioned when I took profits or at what levels and everything, right? And so you guys followed that trade. That was the only trade I took last week. And so if I want to short and hold that short for a long term, I want to see at least give me like 1 green month at least. 2 green months, great, but 1 green month is awesome at least, right? And so, and the higher it goes, of course, the bigger my short position is going to be. So that's what I'm waiting for. But remember, on USDT dominance, so a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. I'm watching right now on both USDT plus USDC. Usually I just do USDT, but these are two levels that I'm watching right now. Why? We have a 12-hour 200 EMA. This is going to be very powerful um, area here. And then the next one is this, which is also your 4-hour 800 EMA. So this is a very important level. And I think, Bits, did you say it was this one, right? This level? Or this level that you were watching?
Hold on. I was watching. So on mine, let me go back to mine. I have. If we're not reversing right here, which is the 0.5, we're basically right below the 0.5. I had a golden pocket at 990 through 10, roughly. That's like the 618 to 65. And then down at what is this, 930?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like nine.
that would
Well,
be close.
call it 940. 940 through like
943.
912 is like the next like deeper correction. So that's the 786 to 854 area down there.
Okay.
854
Okay.
being 910. And that also aligns with the 4-hour 800 EMA, which is currently at 9.43. So
Yep. Exactly.
yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, my first zone was definitely looking up here near this 0.5, which is like a 10.5 ish somewhere, even if it goes a little bit under that, but roughly this 10.5.
Yeah. I mean, it is at that level right now. So we'll see how this one works out. So
It looks like it's gonna roll
definitely.
over though. It looks like
Yeah.
it's gonna roll. Yeah.
Yeah. This is definitely interesting. I'm gonna go to. So before I do that, actually, remember I said I have some conspiracy theories about uh, what I'm going to present today. So first of all, I want to go to the monthly, right, for
Mhm.
BTC, or sorry, stablecoin dominance. When you look
Okay.
at a pattern like this is extremely bullish, right? Which means extremely bearish for Bitcoin. This is bad. And so my theory is that, remember, I'm working with the yearly chart on BTC, so I'm just considering every possible scenario here. I don't think we're going to stop here at 16%. I don't think that's going to happen. We are going to fly through this, and even if we do, like, one scenario could be that you top out here, and this could be like, the end of October or something like that, right? We top out
Sure.
here, and then we roll over a little bit. But I'm really thinking this is like a parabolic type pattern to me. Like, this is looking dangerous to me. And this is potentially looking like we could be targeting some of these pretty crazy numbers that we have not seen before. And so I'm keeping my mind very open just because of what I'm seeing here. And so be mindful of that. Like, I'm open to this scenario, which means it would be pretty devastating for BTC, especially on the yearly, right? Like, we've been talking about the yearly chart.
Yeah.
This is not new to you guys. We've been talking about it for a while. Quarterly chart, yearly chart, those are important to look at. And so this is not a very bullish pattern. Like, if we find a bottom here, we could maybe only go up to here. Like, if we are able to go above this, I'd be super excited if that was to happen. But this is a bad looking chart right now. I don't know what's going to happen in the world to make it happen, but this isn't the best chart. So we'll see. And the fundamentals have started to kind of look pretty bad as well. And so all of those things we need to keep in mind. So wanted to throw it out there. And then, of course, when we go to our daily chart for BTC, I've already covered the one fractal from 2022 that Black Widow was talking about. Again, nothing has changed for me. Like, you guys, we drew this the first week of February, right? We are still within this range. So nothing's changed for me except for just basically waiting to see what happens here. This is a major level that's coming up. Do we hold this level? Are we going to go above it? I don't know. I mean, if we get here, this is great. This is going to be really awesome. Or even like a yearly. I don't think it's going to go that high at all. But we have the yearly open as well, and which was actually not retested, at least on a
Right.
higher time frame. So again, all the possibilities on the table, especially if we were to get one or two monthly green candles. But
Yep.
this is definitely now it's going to get into my area of where I'm going to start looking for opportunities to short. It's coming up very, 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 very quickly. So definitely watching that. I am also watching. So this is like the overall view, right? We are bearish until the end of October. There could be some dead cat bounces here and there, right? Some bear market rallies, some corrective moves to the upside. None of that matters. I mean, you're going to see of course, crypto Twitter getting excited, or CryptoX getting excited about this. You're going to have a
Yeah.
lot of permabulls telling you, this is it. Bears are done. And it's like, I don't want to be bearish, to be honest. I don't. But you have to follow that historical data, and you have to put your emotions aside and just be a robot, right? So I'm just being a robot.
Yep.
I'm just waiting for that bottom that's going to arrive end of the year. And I'm okay with that. So we'll be watching. So unless I get a really, really awesome, like, if this month closes red, I'm not gonna be a very happy camper, even though it's gonna close red, then it's pretty much going in my direction, because I want to see at least one green candle, right, before I could go big on the short positions. Now, of course, can I get some intraday moves? Absolutely, right? We could definitely catch some intraday moves. All right, so I want to look at some of the possible trades that I may be taking. So first of all, I mean, these breakout trades, you guys know, have a very high probability. So I'm just sharing what I'll be looking at, right? So this could be one where, if it was to break this level here, then I'm potentially looking at a move lower, and it would be just as much as, if your stop loss is here, right? So you're entering at about 72.9, almost about 73. So if your stop loss is here, then you're looking for potentially a 1,500 or 2,000 points move to the downside, right? If your stop loss is here. So watching for this breakout level here looks like, because this was like a little trappy move here, uh, it's, of course, right now it's looking bullish right now that, okay, it's going to probably go up here because this is like a double bottom. But again, when I tell you, when something gives you like a very clear W, you just have to be cautious here. So there's that. And then also remember, just like you have a breakout trade here, you could also have a breakout trade here, which will again give you a 1-to-1, most likely, right? Which means your stop loss would be here. You're targeting this one. I'm not interested in these moves because my overall bias is short, and that's, I guess, the safer entry for me, right? So I'm looking for these breakout trades here. But this will be a valid trade as well, right? So basically entry here, very, very risky, right? Riskier than this one right here. And then your stop loss would be here, and then your take profit will be here somewhere. So you'll have to just count and go with the exact points, maybe a little bit even lower, right? So 0.9 to 1, that would be your risk to reward ratio. Now, this is another level here that I'm watching potentially for a breakout lower. So if this one is taken, then of course it's, again, your stop loss is here, so it's going to be another very quick move, right? So probably up until 800 EMA will be your take profit. So this is another level that I'm watching for a potential trade. So those are like, oh my goodness, I drew too many of them. Okay, so remember this one trade, and then potentially this one as well. Not too keen on this one, just because it did kind of like a stop hunt off of this. So I'll probably not be too interested in this one. But there's going to be also this one here. So this one will be, your stop loss would be pretty high. So this means it's going to, once the price gets here, we are looking at a pretty strong move to the downside. So those are some of the breakout trades. Now, again, if for me to take this trade, I want the price to come here pretty quickly, like, within the next day, potentially next few hours, if that, right? Because if it makes the move to the upside, then I'm going to have to start looking for another breakout trade, another pattern, just like this. So these are just quick trades that sometimes I take with a very high win rate. So we'll see if this one, if these two work out. So we'll come back to these during our next stream. So, which I guess we won't have another stream until next week. I will be out this week. The rest of the week, it's a holiday for Muslims, so I'll be observing that. I might jump on a couple of spaces here and there for a very short amount of time, but most likely I won't be able to. And Bits will be doing his live stream, so I definitely encourage you to look at that, to watch his live streams. I see a bunch of trades here. Okay, 74.6. Yeah, I think that we could definitely see that, right? 74.6 is going to be a major level, and then of course you have the 75. And you know why I have the 75 level? I want to go into that as well. So basically, you have it's basically just a gap here, like a fair value gap on the monthly chart. So this is why I have it, that it could fill this gap and then roll over, right? So we'll see that. And then, of course, we were at, 50 EMA on monthly, right? So, of course, you're going to get some upside here. Monthly EMAs are very, very strong. So we'll definitely be watching that. All right. So really, that's what I have here for BTC. Again, daily. We are watching how the daily closes today. If it rolls over, if this one closes red, definitely gonna be looking for short opportunities at that point. So we mentioned that Bits during Wolf Spaces as well this morning, that both of us are watching for that. So daily close is gonna be important. Weekly close was super important as well this week, right? So one thing that I've also seen, like, of course, this is another one to watch, right? We often see price coming back to 13 EMA. So definitely be watching for this one. 77K is another level. But a lot of times what I've seen price too sometimes is you'll have a pattern like this, where you have this sort of a pattern and then a green bullish close within it. And then the next candle will go slightly above and then roll over. And so this is another level to watch potentially for a long opportunity if it was to come back down very quickly and retest and hold, right? 68.4, and then maybe go a little bit above. We'll have to see. But we are, within that consolidation phase where we could see potentially one or two green monthly candles, hopefully. So something to watch, right? Another thing we can't forget, which we haven't really talked about too much, is S&P 500, because a lot of people do look at the correlation when it suits them, right? That's the key here. When it suits them, they look at S&P 500 and they say, oh, stock markets are at all-time highs, so Bitcoin is going to do this. Well, right now, stock market is not looking the best, right? And Bitcoin is looking a little bit bullish, which means it's lagging behind. So if that theory is correct, then BTC should start to roll over sooner rather than later, because it seems like we're probably going to make a move to the downside very quickly here too. There are some major levels coming up. And then, of course, on weekly as well, we have this level coming up here, the weekly 50 EMA. So lots and lots of levels that are coming up. You also have 13 EMA. It's way overextended. Like we are almost overdue for this correction. So um, I think your best resource right now is Northstar to kind of look at overall markets, because he's looking at commodities and everything, right? Indices, commodities, crypto, everything together, metals, all of that. And so when you look at all of that, you're going to get a very holistic picture. And so very knowledgeable and very down to earth human. So definitely follow him and follow Black Widow. Like those are the two accounts you should be following, besides ours, of course. Well, yeah, that's really what I have for today. Bits, anything that you want to add about S&P or anything else?
Let me check. See if there was anything that was jumping out at me in terms of the stock market. Nah, I don't think there's anything to add. I still think silver and gold are probably coming down first before they continue any kind of big moves to the upside. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything there. MSTR is another one that kind of gives confluence to like what we're seeing. And it was one of those that it did have a pretty decent monthly close this last month. And we're getting a little bit of movement off of that. Again, this one though, MSTR, look at this quarterly, right? So this is part of the reason why. Oh shoot, hold on, I'm not sharing.
Yeah, I was going to bring up yours.
Sorry. Yep.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
wait.
We're probably both
I
clicking.
removed my. Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, MSTR was one of those where it had a pretty nice monthly close. Left a big wick to the downside, and then so far this month is engulfing this previous month's body here. But looking at the quarterly for MSTR, I think what's interesting here, and I don't like how it kind of closed with that flat bottom there, but look, if this quarter closes within that previous quarter, MSTR could have a big move to the upside. I mean, if we were looking at this inverted, we'd be thinking this thing's coming down here, right? If we're looking at this inverted, we'd say, oops, that thing looks done. It's coming down to the lows, possibly even setting new lows. So, that's why I like using that invert button, is it kind of helps you frame that a little bit. So I am watching it here. There's 15 days left. MSTR closes the quarter. If that's the case, I think it can probably head up. There's some levels on the weekly and monthly that I'd be looking to take some profit on here. But if if we can get a nice close here, yeah, I think it's got a big move up somewhere in here. I'm not yet convinced it makes new highs per se, but I think it's got room to run. Which again, like why would MSTR be going this high if Bitcoin is not going to also try and head up towards the yearly open and some of those levels that you talked about, right? So maybe there's some confluence there, and in that case, what is stablecoin dominance doing, right? Is stablecoin dominance then suddenly, maybe heading down here back to the top of this previous range? It'll be interesting. I think we're about to have a very interesting next 2 weeks here, and then depending on what happens during these 2 weeks, it could really determine very different outcomes for what next quarter could hold. Either next quarter could be very, very bearish, or next quarter could be quite bullish, depending on how we close out this month and this quarter.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
I have one more thing that I will share, And this scares me, but I'll
Yeah,
go
go
ahead
for it.
and share it. Okay, so North Star, I mentioned him. That everybody, if you're following us, you should be following him as well. Incredible researcher, and he'll tell you stuff that, like, I'm not going, looking at 150 years of data on oil. I'm not looking at it at all. So just following him, it gives me some of the information that I may not be looking at, and this helps me, right? Because I can then see the overall
Hmm.
picture of where it's heading and what are some of the key scenarios. But he's clearly watching for this level here at $256. That's where oil is headed in the short term. So that's basically what he's calling, right? So above $200. This is scary to me. And then of course there's going to be a crash, because even to get to this $250, this means there's going to be some pretty bad stuff that's going to be happening in the world to make this happen, right? We are already seeing what's happening in the Middle East. So just peace and love to everybody who's impacted. But this is scary stuff here. So there's something is going to happen which is going to be bad. And then if it does the same thing that it's been doing, because this is 150 years of data, right? This is the worst case scenario. If there is a correction, like we've seen here, right? So you go from this to a little bit of a crash, and then you find the bottom again, and then it has a big move to the upside. And so if something like that was to happen here, I mean, $750, that's pretty bad. That I don't know what's going to happen in the world to get there, but these are some um, pretty awesome predictions there, from at least from
Mm.
the ROI perspective. Now, are we going to be alive to catch that move? And we don't know, but
Yeah.
it's scary and interesting, right? So definitely be watching, because this is going to be impacting Bitcoin as well as other markets. And so, yeah, remember, whenever there's war, of course, investors do like to de-risk, and that's one thing, right? So if oil is flying to that capacity, imagine what's going to happen to other assets. So yeah, just wanted to share it. And if you don't follow him, make sure that you give him a follow. Some great stuff there.
I
But
love
yeah,
his comment. I love his comment where David is like calling him out right there. David says, "Your target is based on too much locality of demand and supply responses." North Star,
uh,
like how David gets all crazy on his
uh,
faces, and then North Star just lets him have it. No, it's all based on chart evidence, man. That's it.
yeah,
No narratives. Yeah.
yeah. It's not
Mhm.
even like he's not even drawing support and resistance here. He's
No,
just
no,
looking at
yeah, he's just
percentages.
yeah,
It's very clear, and it's 150 years of data. Like, why would you want to bet against it? Right?
yeah.
Like, why would you want to bet against it? So, and remember, this he was talking about it in January. This is important to
I
understand.
know.
You had oil, like gold and silver was flying.
Under
Oil was
$60 oil. Wow.
Yes, exactly, under
Yeah,
$60. And so now
yeah,
you were all buying gold and silver when North Star was telling you to buy oil, because oil was lagging behind. And this is backed by 150 years of data that says
yeah.
all of these are the same asset class, which means if oil takes over and um, you have silver and gold crashing, then you should be positioning yourself in silver and gold. So
Right.
keep that in mind. But yeah, definitely some pretty awesome predictions, and very very accurate, and uh, legendary calls. So definitely
Yeah.
follow him for. He needs to create like a nice little course on capital rotation. I know he has some videos that
He
you
has
go
a
watch.
community. Yeah, I'm sure he's got something inside
Yeah,
his community. I mean, he's got his website right there, North Star Bad Charts.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'm sure he's got
definitely.
something in there, but yeah, he should do. I mean, maybe we just got to bring him on and have him give us
Yeah.
the capital rotation thesis all summed up with the latest evidence and all of that, and just see what he thinks.
No, absolutely. I think we will definitely bring him over. I think he's on Australia. He's in Australia, if I'm not
Somewhere over
mistaken.
there.
So
Yeah, he's somewhere over
yeah.
there. Yeah.
So time zone is different. But yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
definitely make it happen where I bring him on one of our calls,
Yep.
and I definitely sit down with him. But yeah, that's really all I had for today. And we'll leave you with this.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll be back again next week. I will be back again next week with Bits of
Yeah.
Wealth. Bits of Wealth will be doing live streams and spaces throughout the week. So definitely make sure
Yeah.
that you're following for all the updates and everything. But yeah, this was an awesome live stream. Thank you so much, Bits, for co-hosting it with me as usual.
Yeah. Thanks to you as usual. Good stuff.
Thank you. Well, everybody, have a wonderful rest of the week. Catch some of those moves, hopefully, in the markets. And we'll see you next week. Have a good day. Bye.
See you guys.